I have an idea that I'd like to present to you today, and that is that in the workplace, the marketplace, or in government and politics, you don't have to be friends to be allies. It's possible to have a very productive working relationship with people you do not personally like or align with ideologically. The reasons we are naturally averse to this notion today is largely influenced by social pressures, in my opinion, that did not exist in generations past. That would be a discussion topic all its own, but just think for a moment about how the almost instant transfer of ideas and information influences our likes and dislikes. We are pushed to make decisions about what we like, who we support, what causes are worthy, and other things that should likely take much more consideration. Opinions are inferred about us as individuals based on snapshots and sound bites of our lives. It serves to make working with a foe dangerous in the court of public opinion. But I say go against the grain and buck the tide. Do it anyway. Don't be afraid. Bridging the gap to your adversaries will not kill you or your reputation. But how do you persuade an adversary to become an ally if they don't like you? According to Robert Cialdini in his article, Harnessing the Power of Persuasion, liking is a key tenet of success in being persuasive. Well, naturally, an adversary is not going to be persuaded to join forces with you because they like you. But there are other principles that are equally effective in persuasion. Are you consistent? Do you follow through with your promises of action or deliverables? Likewise, knowing your stuff goes a long way. Do you know what you're talking about? When you want to make an alliance, your knowledge of the subject matter and your track record will speak very loudly. In a similar way, if an alliance is mutually beneficial, this is a strong persuasive angle when wanting to ally with a foe. But what about my authenticity, you might ask? How can I be true to myself and collaborate with people whose ideals I do not respect? Well, why not turn that around? Take a different approach. Holding firm to your ideals does not mean that you cannot be your authentic self, but measure your communications with tentative talk and a good amount of empathy. Show in your words that you're willing to be flexible. Project manager Dan holds an introductory meeting with a team of offshore developers. Now, he is fundamentally opposed to offshoring because of his personal beliefs, which he has been very vocal about. And his stance on this is known to his colleagues and his friends. His company has decided to engage an offshore workforce for a new project, and Dan has been put in charge of the project and delivery. The first words out of his mouth at the meeting are, "We have 3 weeks to get the project out the door, and I know your team usually works at a pretty slow pace." Whoa! Everyone in the meeting is now on edge. They've been offended, they immediately dislike Dan, and they have a negative attitude towards the project. Dan has just increased his chances of failure by about, 75%? Now, Dan knows that his offshore team actually has a pretty good track record with other projects for other companies because his manager thoroughly vetted them. And while there might be some challenges with time zone differences, and he's going to have to be very clear with his communications, he has no real evidence that they won't perform well. Does Dan have to immediately pretend to be enthusiastic about the team and project when he really isn't? Is he wrong to have preconceived notions about how the offshore team will perform? Well, no, because Dan has been involved in previous projects where the offshoring has been a big negative factor in the overall project, and his team is aware of his past and misgivings. However, in those projects, the offshore team was given work that was beyond their skill set. They had no oversight, and they worked with a project manager that gave them very little clear communication and feedback. Well, now it's Dan's turn to lead, and he has the opportunity to turn it around. He knows what went wrong before. And while he does not need to embrace offshoring in general terms for every project, he can adjust his approach so that his project is successful and the development team gives their best. Let's have Dan try it again. "Hi, everybody. I'm Dan, and I'm here to make sure we deliver a fantastic project and all look like rock stars when we finish on time and within budget. I'm going to lay out the plan clearly, and I want you to speak up if anything I have laid out is confusing or there needs to be more information so you can be successful. Now, how does that sound? Dan is engaging the team with tentative talk to lower the bar so they can communicate freely. He's established common ground in wanting success for everyone. Remember, there's gold in them there hills. Concentrate on what you have to gain by changing an adversary into an ally. What Project Manager Dan cannot know by starting with a bad attitude is the skills and experience that the team brings to the project. While it may be true that he's had some bad experiences in the past, he's not destined to have a bad experience this time around. When there's a job to be done, what's important is that the team members can contribute to reaching a common goal. Maintain focus on the end goal and work to tap into the skills and experiences that can move the project forward. If the goal has nothing to do with supporting a particular ideological agenda or an uncommon cause, just leave those sentiments out of the work. Finally, put on your rose-colored glasses. Choose to see the good more clearly than the bad. Making a conscious decision to give the benefit of the doubt and to concentrate on avenues for success can not only increase your chances of success, but you will likely feel better throughout the project. Negativity is draining, so leave it out. If it's detrimental to achieving your end goal, it's also bad for your health. Now, how can you apply reaching across the aisle, so to speak, to your social networking? If you are actively building your social network and you're working to expand it to include people whose expertise and positions differ from your own, as is the advice of Uzi and Dunlap in their article, How to Build Your Network, wouldn't reaching out to an adversary be exactly the right move? Your foes are not without skills and connections. Take a risk. Hit connect on LinkedIn. So don't be afraid. Concentrate on what you have to gain and choose to be positive. You can maintain your personal integrity and authenticity regardless of your personal and ideological differences. I hope this helps you on your next challenging project.